There is a new piece in The Atlantic, and part of that says that Milley has told friends that he expects if Trump does return to the White House, which he's obviously trying to do, that the newly elected president will come after him. And Milley has reportedly told people, quote, he'll start throwing people in jail and I'd be on the top of the list. Do you think that's a justified concern?
CNN's Caitlin Collins is speaking to Trump's former Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, to essentially comment on recent reporting alleging that Donald Trump would imprison his political opponents should he get reelected. Now, his Joint Chiefs of Staff, the chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff under Trump, General Mark Milley, was allegedly concerned that he'd be on the top of that list. This was disclosed in a recent Atlantic piece, which I will share with you in just a moment. But Trump's former Defense Secretary Mark Esper says, there is some cause for concern. Let's watch.
Look, I think it's a legitimate fear. If you recall from my memoir that you mentioned at the top, I cite a circumstance where the president, egged on by his close advisors, wanted to call back to active duty Admiral McRaven and General McChrystal to court-martial them for some things that they allegedly said in the public domain. And Milley and I had to talk the president out of doing that for any number of reasons. So is it possible that a new loyalist sitting around Trump in the Oval Office will say, let's call up Milley? Yeah, it's quite likely. Now, the good news is if there's a silver lining in all this is Trump's kind of poisoned a well. I don't know that a jury could or anybody would find that he could be given what we would call command influence, that such a thing could happen. But nonetheless, I think it's a legitimate fear. The president's also said that a second term would be about retribution, right? So I think these are all legitimate concerns.
And just to give you more details about the context behind this conversation and exchange, as I mentioned earlier, it comes from a recent piece written about General Mark Milley in The Atlantic titled The Patriot. And in it, Jeffrey Goldberg writes that Trump and his allies have already threatened officials they see as disloyal with imprisonment, and there is little reason to imagine that he would not attempt to carry out his threats. Milley, meaning General Mark Milley, has told friends that he expects that if Trump returns to the White House, the newly elected president will come after him. Quote, he'll start throwing people in jail and I'd be on the top of the list, end quote, he said. But he's also told friends that he does not believe the country will reelect Trump. When I asked him about this, Milley wouldn't answer directly, but when I asked him to describe his level of optimism about the country's future, he said, quote, I have a lot of confidence in the general officer corps, and I have confidence in the American people. The United States of America is an extraordinarily resilient country, agile and flexible, and the inherent goodness of the American people is there. I've always believed that, and I will go to my grave believing that. Cenk, is that at all comforting for you?
Not at all. Okay. And so, first of all, I'll address that last quote first. Guys, I've seen it happen in other countries, including Turkey. When the strongman comes into power, they don't just leave that good general corps there. When Milley says he likes the general corps and they're principled and moral, that to Trump is a sign that he should fire them all and put in his own guys. And so how did the strongmen do that? They talk to the colonels, the generals, and all the different officers until they find people who are accommodating of breaking the rules and being on the side of the strongman instead of being on the side of the Constitution. These institutions will not hold. The executive branch can fire anybody they like. They're not gonna hold. So, but then once the military's gone, everything is over. So, okay, now back to the political prisoners. First of all, MAGA, you have to understand something. We're talking about arresting people for no reason, for just criticizing Trump. Free speech advocates, you guys are just unbearably hypocritical. You don't believe that at all. That Trump, you're like, oh, yeah, Milley criticized Trump. We don't like that. Imprison him, okay? Well, that's not a thing. You have to break a law. You have to break a law. And also, by the way, if Trump was in office, should he have prosecuted Bob Menendez? Absolutely. You know why? He's a Democratic senator, but he broke the law. That's why you imprison people, not because they disagree with you. That's literally what dictators do, okay? So now I wanna emphasize something. Esper is not Biden's defense secretary. He was Trump's defense secretary. He's saying, I worked with the guy. Not only did I work with the guy, and I'm positive that he didn't say positive, you saw the quote. He said it is credible to believe that he would imprison people, okay? That just for the crime of disagreeing with him. But it's not theoretical. He considered doing it already. Now there's no brakes in the car. But even when there were brakes in the car, even when there were establishment guys in the administration, he was like, okay, McChrystal and McRaven. So whatever you think of those generals, they're considered like top generals that quote unquote gave their lives and careers to the American military. And you're gonna imprison them because they disagreed with that? Now that's what we do in America now? Tin pot dictator. So guys, for all of the establishment media and Democrats, constantly talk about Trump and tell you democracy's on the line, etc. They don't really believe it. They think like, oh no, it's okay. They think it's just like marketing, and that's why you have to vote for Biden, etc. I actually believe it because I have eyes and ears. So when his defense secretary says, we considered arresting political opponents, he's not kidding, he's not exaggerating. If Trump comes back, I would bet any amount of money that he starts arresting his political opponents for no reason at all other than criticizing him. He wants to be a dictator. He has praised every dictator, including the North Korean dictator, including the Chinese leader, including Putin. Every time there's a dictator, he's like, oh, I like strong. I like how everybody has to bow and applaud. So he's gonna arrest all these people, and then people are gonna say, oh, nobody could have seen it coming. Oh, this is way worse than we expected. Well, the guys who work with him are telling you 24/7, wake up. And by the way, don't run. A guy who's in the 30s against this guy, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose, and we're gonna lose the whole country.
If you enjoyed this video, that's because of our members. They make us independent, they make us strong, and they make us honest. Become a member today by hitting the join button below.